Hey guys, so today we're starting out with an Adobe Illustrator tutorial, and in this video I'm going to go over a few basic different tools in Illustrator and going to teach you how to master the pen tool, how to make your own vector images from your imagination, or even taking a graphic and tracing that into a vector format. First off, I'm starting off just opening a file. It really doesn't matter too much, just kind of picking one. Okay, so we are going to start by taking a look at the default toolbar here on the side, what you're going to see whenever you first open up Illustrator. We have the selection tool, the direct selection tool, pen tool, curvature tool, rectangle tool, paintbrush tool, type tool, rotate tool, eraser tool, shape builder, gradient, eyedropper, width tool, the blend tool, artboard tool, zoom, and a few other things that are going to change your color swatches. So here's your color picker. You just double click on the square and you can see here that there's a gradient of different colors and you can pick whatever color you want or you can enter in the hex code. Don't know why that quit, but say you have a specific color you want to put in, you can put it in here in the little text bar or just slide around as you see here. There's a bunch of different color swatches built in that you can change from. And there's also a setting for only web colors. So if you're doing graphics to be shown only on the web, or if you want to have a little bit more of a limited color palette, you can use that too. But anyways, you can drag around, pick really any color you want, enter the hex code, and push OK, and then you have your color. Here we're going to look at the pen tool, and to get to the pen tool, you're going to click over on the side or push P. Now to start using the pen tool, you just click around, and every time you click and where your mouse goes, that is the line that it's going to draw. To close your shape, you want to wait until you see the little circle form on your mouse, and then you can click it, and that is going to fully enclose your shape that you are creating. And to get rid of these, you can take a step back, which is Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC. And with these, you can also pick the color of your fill and your stroke. Now, you can either choose to use without a fill or without a stroke. And as you can see, I took the fill off of this shape here. So it is just going to be an outline, or what I am calling the stroke. You can change the colors of these things through that color picker that I showed earlier in the video. And you can change the color of the stroke or the infill. Now, to toggle these colors, you want to push X on your keyboard, and that switches between the infill and the stroke color picker. So I'm still working here without a fill, and I'm just messing around with the pen tool, kind of getting a feel of how it feels to control the pen tool and how we can connect all the lines. So I'm going to clear this out here. I'm just highlighting and deleting. Do this by clicking the top tool on the sidebar and dragging all the way over your design and pushing the delete button. So now that we have a clear palette, we are going to start figuring out how to make curves with the pen tool. So you want to click and start a line and click again, and before you let go of the mouse, you want to drag and maneuver your mouse around, and you're going to see these two different lines, and this is what determines the curvature of your line. When you're happy with it, then let go and click the next one and continue this process. This is going to be something that's going to take a lot of practice, so I recommend going and kind of just making some organic shapes and just kind of getting a feel of what the pen tool can do and what different curves look like depending on how you move the mouse. So now what I'm going to start to do is show you how to edit these curves or lines that you've created with the pen tool. So you can add and remove nodes as you wish, and nodes are the little white dot that you see, which are your anchor points. And to remove them, you hover over with your pen tool and wait till you see the minus sign and click, and it gets rid of them. Now you can do the opposite of this by adding them. You go on your line and wait till the pen tool has a little plus sign and click, and you can add more anchor points or nodes to your line. Now, in doing this, you can edit the position of these nodes and edit their curvature. So by clicking the command tool when you are on top of one of your nodes, you can drag those to any position that you like. And this is going to change, of course, the curvature of the lines and the angles that they're at, but it's not going to change their shape. So I'm going to start out here with a blank sheet again, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to teach you how to edit these curves and lines that you've been making. And I'm just going to make some organic shape here, but you want to hold down the Option button. And this is going to allow you to move the points that are going to change the curves. And this allows you to have more control and to fix what you've done or edit it. And as you can see, I clicked away and I just pushed Control Z and that got me back right onto the path. And this is going to allow me to make much more organic paths that I want to create. Now, say if you make a curve that you want um, to change after you've already made it, you just click on those little white nodes that we saw earlier and again use the Option key, and that's going to bring back the editing line so you can change the angles and the curves that they're at. Now, as you can see, doing this can drastically change your shape really easily, so it does allow you to get the desired shape that you'd like and to really kind of refine your edges and create some really cool stuff. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to get rid of these curves when you have lines already made. If you hold down the Option key and you see the mouse change a little bit, go ahead and run that over your nodes and you can see that it reverts it to as if I had just made geometric lines and had made shapes like I was earlier in the video. Please ignore my keyboard at this moment. I don't know why it's showing I'm pushing those keys. I'm just running over the nodes and clicking Option as I'm clicking over each node. Now I'm going to show you an easy trick that I like to do when I want to practice my pen tool skills. And I'm also going to show you how to open up a JPEG or a PNG or any sort of type of file image into Illustrator. And I just put it right here in the middle. The size really doesn't matter too much for what we're doing, but we are going to be tracing over these shapes to get a practice of the pen tool. I'm not going to trace over every single shape, but I just want to give you guys kind of an idea of ways that you can practice and increase your skills when it comes to using the pen tool. And I know it shows that it looks like I skipped a few shapes. I didn't have my screen recording going, but the star is a really good shape to look at when practicing here because, as you're going to see in a second, we're going to run into a little bit of a problem when it comes to tracing this tool. As we go, it's going to cover the lines that we're tracing. And you can see over on the right that it gives you those options like that we were looking at earlier, and you can see the opacity button. And what we're going to do is lower that opacity to kind of fix what's going on here because we're playing a guessing game of figuring out where we want to trace. So we can lower that opacity and we can see the line underneath, and that is going to allow us to make a more accurate tracing of our image. And then we can go ahead and put that all the way back up to 100 to make it completely opaque. And then you guys can tackle a bunch of images on your own with some more practice. Okay, this next segment is going to be combining different shapes and how to use different effects that are going to come really in handy when you're making some vector images. So I'm just drawing two really simple shapes here. And in order to get this menu that we're going to be using, you want to pop over to the menu window and go down all the way to Pathfinder. And you can bring this into wherever you like. I like to put mine up at the top. I think it makes it really easy to access, and you're going to see 10 different tools that are going to affect your shapes and your paths. So this is going to take a little bit of getting used to and playing with to kind of figure out what these different things do. I'm changing the fills and the strokes first, and we're going to do a fun orange color for the dig, because why not? So doing that, and to get the second fill, I actually decided that I wanted to show you guys the droplet tool. And the droplet tool is a color picker, and it looks like the eyedropper. I mentioned it early in the video, but you can click it and it'll give you the color of whatever you select. So now we're going to run through what the different things are here on the right side. There's 10 different options that are going to allow you to change your path, combine the shapes, and do a bunch of different things. So I'm just going to drag this triangle right over the square, select everything, and click the Unite tool. So this is going to make everything into one object. Now, with everything still selected, we're going to look at the minus front, and that's going to take away from whatever is most in the front. So to show you that more clearly, I overlapped them more so you can see it takes away that triangle. And you can change the order of these objects by scrolling down and right clicking. And you can bring to front, bring to back, or mess with these and kind of change the different layers that each object is on. Now we're going to do the intersect, and this one is going to get rid of everything except for the parts of the objects that intersect. The next one we have is the exclude, and this takes away what would have been that intersection and takes away from the image. This next section is going to be about one of my favorite things in Illustrator, and that is converting an image into a vector. Now I'm taking this PNG of our big logo and I'm pushing the S button or the scale tool. And this allows you to scale an image up or down and make it a different size. And if you want to scale an image while keeping the same ratio to width to height, you want to hold down the shift key as you're moving it around. Now what you're going to do is make sure your image is highlighted like you see here, and you can make sure this is done by using the select tool, and you want to go down to the object menu and go make and expand, and you want to push OK, yeah, da 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 da, and it's going to change the color of your image depending on what color you have selected, as we talked about earlier, but this is going to make your image into a vector, and you're going to have all the different nodes just like we saw when we were using the pen tool, and this is such an amazing and very helpful tool in Illustrator because this allows you to do so many things with this image now. I could take this image and go onto the laser cutter and cut it out, raster it. I can go over to the vinyl cutter and cut this out, and there's just so many different things that I can do with this vectored image now. So I'm just kind of playing around, showing you guys a little bit of what you can do and how many different layers you have to this vectored image. Now I'm going to revert it back to its original state, and I'm going to show you another cool tool. So make sure you do have it selected again and go back down to image trace and you want to push make. Now what this is going to do is make your entire image into one vector. This isn't going to allow you to have the separate parts like before, but if you want to go back to get each individual component, you go down to image trace, make and expand, and we're going to have all of those individual vector components again. And this is really cool because you can delete and change things. So if I want to get rid of that white border around the logo, I just go and delete those nodes there. And you can see that those are now gone on the sides. But what's really cool about this is you can select individual parts of this image. So what you're going to see is me selecting the letters in dig. And you can select multiple objects by holding shift or wanting to select them individually just by going over them and making sure you have them highlighted. And you can even edit and delete different aspects of the image that you have here. And you can select the whole entire image by pushing Control A or Command A, and that's going to select every single node and every single object in your workspace. So what we're gonna do now, just kind of gonna show you guys that you can move different layers of your vector depending on what you're clicking, and you can see the different parts of the vector that are left. The different layers cause the different colors. Everything here is black and white, so it's not as easy to see, but you can kind of get the gist of how that tool is going to affect your image that you're turning into a vector. So over on the side, you see the square tool, and this you can click down and it's going to reveal different options. I'm going to click the ellipse tool, and this is going to create a vectorized ellipse. And you can change the color of this. I'm just going to go pick some form of an orange, not our official orange, but orange. And we're going to push OK, and you want to make sure, I made the mistake here of doing it just on that side, but you want to make sure the fill of it is actually an orange on the right side, and you can see where I go and change that. And what I'm going to do is select the three letters DIG, and you're going to want to click Shift and hold that, and then click each individual letter and move that over to the orange ellipse. And you can see that I'm having to change the order of the vectors because the the dig letters, those are behind the ellipse. So it wasn't wanting to move uh, for me, so I'm moving the oval back and clicking the letters again by holding shift and pushing that S button to scale it down and holding shift as I scale it down to make it smaller. So this is an example of how you can really manipulate your vectors or take artwork that is already created and use it to create another artwork or piece or logo or anything that you want. So once you have your vector image completed and it's perfect in every single way that you could want, what do you do next? You have to save it. And what you are going to want to do is go to the File menu and you're going to want to click Save As. You're going to name it whatever you want. You're going to save it whatever destination you desire. And I would recommend saving it as an Adobe Illustrator AI file first. And you're going to go ahead and click Save. And you're going to want to just push OK. And really, all that different wording and information that it says is not too important. That's for expert level type of settings when you're saving your files. And what I would recommend go ahead and doing is if that's not your final form of your image, go back to that save as and save it as an EPS. That's a vector template or even an SVG. And if you are going to use this artwork to use a machine in the dig, you are going to want to save your vector file as an SVG, a scalable vector graphic, and that is going to be compatible with most of the machines that you're going to use in the dig. And if you're not sure what to do, that's always a great time to find a dig staff member, and we can help you export this file to be compatible with whatever tools you're wanting to use. And that about wraps it up, guys, with our intro to Illustrator video on how to make some vector graphics and a look on into some of the different basic tools that Illustrator has. Don't forget to follow us on our other social media platforms to stay updated with stuff that we're doing. We're still very active right now, even though we aren't on campus. And make sure to like and subscribe to see when we post more videos, and make sure to share this with your friends. Get the word out there that the dig's starting to make a YouTube presence and we're gonna keep up the videos. So thanks so much for tuning in, and see you next time, guys.